Hello everyone and welcome back to our month-long series of aircraft emergencies. So today is 21 and today we're talking about getting lost. So here's a scenario that happened to me a few years ago, right? So I was going to head out on a cross country to have a $100 hamburger. I was going to have a dinner at another airport and then fly back. So our aircraft is mostly steam gauges. I plan to navigate almost entirely off the iPad in ForeFlight. So I took off, left the pattern, started departing, and then my iPad locked up and was basically unusable. So I didn't have an iPad and I couldn't access ForeFlight. So what did I do? I turned around and land at the airport where I just took off of, right? I wasn't prepared to navigate entirely on this trip without the iPad at all, right? But what would have happened if it would have died like 100 miles en route or at the destination, you know, as I was taking off to come home, right? I wouldn't have had it for the return trip home. So that would have been a completely different scenario, right? What happens to you? Do you have backup sectionals or do you have some other means of navigation? If you were going to go on a long flight, or are you relying almost entirely off a single point of failure of your iPad, right? So if you, let's say you get lost, the FAA recommends the 4C approach to help you get found. So the first one is to climb, right? Climbing to a higher altitude allows you to have a better view of the surrounding area. It can also help with communication coverage. The second C is communicate, right? Try to contact any facility in your area. You can also try 122.2 for flight service station, 121.5 if the situation becomes dire, right? Maybe you're starting to get low on fuel. Maybe your options are really limited or you have a really low ceiling that's kind of trapping you in, forcing you down to a lower altitude, and then maybe it's also getting night, you know? So the third C then is confess. Confess that you are lost and that you need assistance. ATC can give you a transponder code, which can help them locate you and then point you in the right direction. And then the fourth C is comply, right? Comply, whether it's with their directions, whether it's with the radar vectors, you know, they're trying to help you, so comply with their instructions. So rather than need the 4 C's, how do we prevent ourselves from getting into this situation to begin with, right? So anytime you are leaving your local area on a trip, instead of relying on like that single point of failure of like an iPad or something like I did, you always want to have a backup, right? Maybe it's a backup sectional. You know, pick out some landmarks along your path every 25 miles or so. Write down on your knee board the frequencies, the runways at your destination, anything that might be useful in case you need to go to backup mode, right? And then also you can get flight following on your cross countries. Then you have continuous ATC support. And for your iPad, make sure it and your phone are completely charged for your trip, right? Maybe you have an old iPad you can just throw in the back just in case you need it. And also remember, you know, iPads can overheat, so try not to keep them in the direct sunlight. You know, you don't want to do that very long. They could get hot and then shut down, right? So doing these things can help ensure that you don't get lost. And even if things start to fall apart, you have some backup sources to enable you to complete your flight. So have you ever been lost, even temporarily? So I'm always interested in hearing a good story. Thanks everyone for joining us on day 21. Don't set yourself up to get lost, right? Always have a backup. Hope to see you tomorrow and fly safe, everyone.